Jack ran deep into the forest. He just kept going on, ever further from his home, further from everything he knew. The dogs baying in the distance made him anxious. Nonetheless, he ran until his legs could no longer carry him. That night would be the first time he slept outside the safe confines of the castle in the clouds. Sometime in the afternoon it had started raining, and Jack's clothes were damp. It would be a very uncomfortable night. Jack managed to escape the scenting dogs, and time passed. Hours turned into days, days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and even the months turned into years. "This is the place. It must be," Jack quietly said to himself. In his hands he held a tattered old map, which he had bartered from a very shady character in an alley a few months earlier. It was full of tears and marks. Jack was standing at the edge of a clearing at the foot of the mountains. Tilting his head back, he could see a shining river flowing out of the high mountain valley. Jack felt sure that this was finally the right river next to the right mountain, just like the other 6 places he had found in the past months. Every time he had felt sure about the spot, and so far each one had disappointed him. Turning his head, he saw some wild goats near the river. Jack had been hunting as much as he could to make his measly supplies last as long as possible. He took some time to rest and soak in the gentle sunlight peeking through the curtain of mist which usually hovered over the forest. Around noon, he set off to find a spot to set up his camp. The first mountain river he had found had taught him that the first thing to do was to set up camp, and only then to go around exploring. That first night had been very cold and wet. Weeks on the road and in the forest had attuned Jack's senses to the sights and smells of the forest, the damp moss under his feet, the dew lingering on the bushes. He passed some berries and quickly grabbed a handful. Soon he found a little cave near the river. It was dry on the inside and also fairly warm. Within an hour, Jack had fabricated a place to sleep, as well as a stove set up that would serve him well during the next few days. He then took his short bow and a couple of arrows and went off to explore the area. On his belt he had a small knife and his trusty hatchet. He did not find the mine he was looking for, but he did come across the goats again. As he was drawing back the bow, a crow cawed on a nearby tree, and the goats ran off. Annoyed, Jack decided to head back to his camp. His mood was lifted slightly when he spied a patch of mushrooms, some of which would become his dinner. It was already dark when Jack reached his fire, even though there was still a sliver of red setting sun to be seen on the horizon. By this time, the dark was not so daunting to Jack anymore. He had attuned to the forest, the earth, and the wind, and the smells could guide him just as well as his eyes. Jack woke early the next morning and went off to search for the mine. If he read the map correctly, then it should be on one of the spurs bordering the valley to the east. He spent most of the day climbing steep cliffs where he successfully managed to hunt a squirrel and some grouse, but he found no sign of the mine entrance. With an empty feeling in his heart, he returned to his camp. In spite of everything, he looked forward to his supper. After a few days of more unsuccessful searching, he was starting to lose hope in this valley again. So he decided to hunt a goat and head to the next likely place on a full stomach. Jack rested on a rock in the shade before going hunting the next morning. He let his eyes rove over the landscape. For the past few days he had gotten to know the valley relatively well, so he knew more or less where he would be able to find the goats. He first approached the river, where he had seen them drinking every morning. It seemed like he had just missed them, but he could find enough tracks to follow them. After about an hour of tracking, he spotted them high on the spur of the valley. The climb was not enough to keep Jack from scaling the slope, because he really wanted to bag a goat. It was already late afternoon when he finally snuck up close enough to take his shot. Jack crept a few centimeters closer. He nocked an arrow. Slowly he raised his bow aiming at the young billy goat he had chosen. Slowly releasing his breath, he relaxed his fingers, sending the arrow flying. With a thud, the arrow hit, and the herd of goats ran off. Jack went after them, following the trail of blood the young billy goat left. Finally, he spotted his quarry lying at the edge of a cliff. Delighted, Jack ran to fetch it, and as he was still admiring his kill, the rock underneath him gave way and sent Jack falling into a dark crevice he had not known to exist.